Hey guys, it's Steph from the Hot Moon Podcast, man. What is going on at UCONN with head coach Dan Hurley, man? You know, there's a lot of rumblings now after just his tournament exit, losing to Florida. Obviously, we all know what he said in that hallway footage of clipping him out, saying, hope they don't, be careful, Baylor. Basically, sum it up like, hopefully you don't get F like we did, just sore loser antics, man. And it's like, Dan Hurley, back-to-back national championship head coach. Okay, clearly he knows how to coach the game. Okay, highly decorated. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, after that game, he said he was on a hot seat going to the 2023 season. And clearly that, he gets an extension to the point where, after winning back-to-back national championships, I'm gonna get to this in a little bit more though, but quickly, he was interviewed by the Los Angeles Lakers, right? It seemed like, the world was at his fingertip. You know what I'm saying? He's the premier coach of college basketball. Coaching at a blue blood school like UConn. Yes, UConn is a blue blood school. I don't know why that's still a debate, considering the amount of national championships and deep tournament runs they've made. Every few years they find a way in there. I wish Jerry Wright would have stayed at Villanova. I think Villanova, would have been in UConn's position, either winning back-to-backs or, Jerry Wright doing what Dan Hurley's doing in kind of, disrupting some UConn's. That's just me though. I like Villanova basketball program. I like Jerry Wright a lot as a coach. Kind of disappointed he retired, but he coached there for a minute, so I understand why. But not to veer off on that. But I've noticed from Dan Hurley, man, even last year, man, I noticed that he's very enthusiastic on the sideline. Okay, very enthusiastic on the sideline. Then during this tournament, and you see I didn't catch UConn games a whole lot, but when I did catch some of the regular season games, I mean, the guy is always unhinged on if even during this tournament, if you go back and watch these games, man, like you see him every single play, he is jumping up and down on the sideline. Jay Billis was on Dan Patrick and talked about it. Basically, it's a quote saying, usually saying that he just needs to change some things. And nobody's saying that Dan Hurley needs to change who he is as an individual. Nobody's saying that, no one's saying that how he's been. It hasn't not gotten him success. It has, but that gets to a point where it's just it can backfire. You know what I'm saying? He can tone things down a bit. You know what I'm saying? And to that, it seemed like he's unable. He's won national championships. The boosters, the NIL guys that support the school are thrilled, right? But I mean, damn. I mean, there's no excuse for the way he's cursing, going off on a tirade because you lost. I mean, you can't win every championship. It's not like you guys got hosed. People saying, oh, well, Florida shot more free throws. Yes, they did. But could it also be the fact that y'all just found them badly when you didn't need to, right? That goes into coaching and coaching your guys up, when to lay off and stuff. You know what I'm saying? I get you guys want to play hard and all that stuff, but I mean, damn. It's just, and also too is the whole cell phone thing, man. The recording from the hallway, and then you got the communications director threatening the guy's life, or saying he's gonna ruin your life. To the point where I don't know if the NCAA is gonna investigate that matter. You know what I'm saying? Is the why is the communication threatening a reporter who's recording the hallway of the head coach coming out cursing, right? Why you want to ruin a guy's life? Because your coach was going off unhinged. He's been going off unhinged the entire tournament on the sideline. Go back, like I said, go back and watch, man. Every play, man, he's jumping up and down. Every single play, huffing and puffing the rest. That gets annoying, right? Jay said it too. Like that could backfire. Jay Billis, he said that could backfire him in the going forward in these big games, big tournaments, where the refs are just tired of you always being theatrical on every play. And they just don't want to deal with you and give you the benefit of the doubt. You know what I'm saying? At some point, you could be your own problem to your own team. Not good. I hope Dan Hurley cleans some things up. And also to the Lakers' point, before I get off of this, think about this, guys. Listen, I thought JJ was kind of being a little bit hot-headed when he came in, just kind of how he was in the media and stuff. But he's calmed down a lot. I give JJ credit a lot. Of massive credit for just kind of how he's handled just the ups and downs of the NBA. Coming in early in the season, he was a bit of a hothead, but he's tempered that. He's tempered that a lot. Still gets a little screws loose in there, but he's done a great job of his temperament, which I can respect that. Still fiery and all that, passionate, but he does it to a fine level. Does Dan Hurley have that in him? Could you imagine Dan Hurley in the NBA right now coaching the Lakers? If he'd taken that job, could you imagine with NBA refs? He thinks it's bad in college. Could you imagine in the NBA, Dan Hurley, the way he's been acting at UConn? Just because you're winning championships, that's not an excuse to misbehave or anything. I know UConn fans should be proud and be happy with the head coach. Like, who wouldn't want to have Dan Hurley as a head coach? But don't be naive and act like all his behavioral antics is acceptable, because it's not. I get it. You got guys in the Bobby Knight and Tom Izzo acting crazy and stuff like that. They got to settle it. They've settled it. Well, not by night, but Tom Izzo definitely settled down a bit. I mean, you got fiery coaches, but I mean, every play jumping up and down. You know what I'm saying? Nah. And so Dan Hurley need to tread carefully, you know what I'm saying, not be public enemy number one in college basketball. You know what I'm saying? We love passion, we love emotion, we love guys who are invested, and he means a lot for these kids. But Dan Hurley has to understand that it's about the kids, not about you, right? You've got your money. You've won national championships. You've proven that you're here to stay. So, I get it, you're a fiery competitor, but at the end of the day, and he did a 60-minute interview and he talked about it being about for the children. He felt he didn't take the NBA job so he can be an impact for the kids. Well, this type of behavior is not an impact in a healthy way for the kids, Mr. Hurley, right? So very interesting, man. I have noticed this, and it's interesting now. People are catching on and really talking about it. I know Billy said he was onto this a while ago, but I've seen this nonsense though from Dan Hurley, and it's absolutely ridiculous how he's conducting himself from the sideline. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this, man. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe. I'm out.